All right, welcome, welcome. Apologize about the technical difficulties here. We hit our max of 500 students. I thought with all of this, with the number of students that are in part-time, that we wouldn't quite hit the 500 person max, but here we are. There's going to be a Twitch stream link dropped in the announcements channel. Patrick is going to share that once he has it. We're really excited about what we get to talk about today. This is something that I've been working toward, and that the entire Lambda School staff has been working towards, really for almost 18 months. And so let's see. I'm gonna get my share started here. Okay, so today we are announcing the full rollout of Lambda Async, which is our mastery-based progression program that ensures that every student finishes Lambda School with every skill that they need to land a job and contribute to a team. We're going to use General as the home base for this discussion, so go ahead and if you have thoughts, feedback, or questions as we go, please drop them in Slack. And we're going to cover 4 things while we're here together. First, how Lambda School designs outcomes-focused instruction. Second, how we evaluate student learning. Third, how we're making it possible for every one of you to train and retrain on content until you can demonstrate mastery. And fourth, Jeff from our outcomes team is going to share what you can do to kickstart your job search before you even graduate. So we're going to, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a quick story about this mountain that's outside my window. This is Mount Timpanogos. This is one of the tallest mountains in Utah, and the view from the top is incredible. You get this kind of top of the world vista of Utah Valley looking one way, the Salt Lake Valley looking another way, and like Sundance and into Park City looking on the other side. Really incredible view. This is what it looks like. This is one of the sides you can see. If you turn around, you see a whole nother valley. It's amazing. And I'm not sure that anyone climbs Timpanogos in January, but the trail is pretty well maintained during the summer. It's a really long hike, and it will take the better part of a full day, but it's doable for most anyone willing to make the climb. I want you to think about, we've got 500 people on this Zoom. I want you to think about all of the faces here, or think about your PM groups if that's useful. And I want you to think like, what would happen if we all took this hike together? So imagine for a second, like what would that look like? And if you think about some of the students that are here on this call, like who would get to the trailhead first? Who would need to stop by the store to pick up some hiking boots and break them in for a week or two before climbing? Who would need to fly to Utah just to start? I mean, I'd probably get to the trailhead first, 'cause it's right here in my backyard. But I know, Brian Doyle would need to probably have a couple of layovers just to get here to Utah and then drive down to the mountain. So, that's just to get to the trailhead. But once a group started to climb, think about like who would race to the top, and who might need to take a break every few minutes. Maybe you didn't sleep well the night before, or maybe it's the altitude, or maybe you have asthma or allergies, or you're just not in as good of shape as some of the others. I think your mountain bike would be quite the journey. Ryan Hamlin could ask that better if you could mountain bike all the way up. And so you can imagine, like, if we all decided to take this hike, some people would race to the top, other people would take a more leisurely pace, other people would need to take rests, and everyone kind of has their own approach to taking this trip up the mountain. And what I want to point out is that here at Lambda School, we accommodate all of those scenarios. Our vision is to enable every student to fulfill their potential or to reach the summit, climb to the top, regardless of circumstance. So wherever you're from, whatever your background is, whatever you need, we're here to get you to the top. And what we're rolling out with Lambda School Async today is our way of guaranteeing that as long as you are willing to show up and put in the work, we're going to help you get there to the top. And it's going to be hard. Some will struggle, some will even drop out. But if you show up, if you make the effort, we will hike every step of the way at your side until you get a job. And to understand how we'll do that, I want to take just a minute to look at where curriculum Lambda School comes from. This is the Lambda School instruction model. This is all based on outcomes-focused education. So the question that people ask, where does the curriculum come from? I want to point out just one class right here. Our web development course, as of this morning, has 272 objectives or specific skills that we've identified that you need in order to contribute to a team on a web development team in a job. So when we start building a new course, we work with industry experts and hiring managers to build out just a giant list of all of the skills that would make someone a no-brainer hire for those jobs. We may end up with a list of 200 to 300 discrete skills, like right here for the web development course, 272 as this morning. And all of these are written as student can statements. So, student can implement the context API, or student can use CSS to style a web page. And we get even more specific than those. Once we have that giant list of objectives, our team of learning engineers, all of the instructors, the program leads that you know, they take all of these statements and they group them. They design projects and assessments and learning activities for every single one of those objectives. So I'm going to look from the top down, and then we're going to zoom back out and look at kind of how this plays into the different tracks that we offer at Lambda School. So right now we have 5 different tracks. We have 3 computer science tracks. That's our web development, iOS development, and Android courses. We have our data track, which includes our data science course, and we have our design track, which includes the UX design course. And for each one of these tracks, we end up with 30 sprints. So every one of these classes, it's 30 sprints long. In full time, that equates to about 30 weeks of content. And in part time, it's 54 weeks of content. And each sprint represents a set of those objectives with multiple opportunities to prove to yourself and to those that you'll be hiring that you know how to contribute to real-world projects. So again, we're going to kind of zoom in here. We're going to use the web course for an example as we zoom in, but this applies to all of the courses. Every one of these tracks is built of 6 5-week units, or 5 sprint units, excuse me. So 6 units, each of them evenly divided. So 5 weeks in part-time, or in full-time, 9 weeks in part-time. We zoom in from there. We have sprints. Each unit has 4 sprints and a build week. And if we zoom into one of the sprints, each sprint has 4 modules and a sprint challenge. And if we zoom into a module, each unit has 4, I'm sorry, let's see, where do we go here? Modules, objectives, yeah. If we zoom into one modules, then we get 4 to 6 objectives and a project. And if we zoom into an objective, these are the student can statements that I mentioned. Student can add event listeners and event handlers to elements, etc. So you on the day level, you have certain objectives you're covering and a project that you build. If you zoom into an objective, you have a demo, a tutorial, and a challenge, or an I do, we do, you do. You've probably heard your instructor saying this. So I want you to note the white boxes. I'm going to zoom back out, and I want you to notice that boxes are just outlines. Each one of these is an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to do what was covered. So at the objective level, you have the challenge. To the module level, you have the project. To the sprint level, where you have the sprint challenge. To the unit level, where you have the build week. All the way up to the entire track, where you have Lambda Labs. So you can see this opportunity every step along the way for you to prove to yourself, to Lambda School, and to the world at large. That includes hiring managers, companies looking for people to fill certain roles, that you can do the work that it takes to enter whichever field that you are looking at. I want to point out just how many people always ask, how many does my track have? How many objectives? So web has 272, data science has 246, user experience has 252, iOS has 356, and Android has 236. No matter what track you're in throughout your course, you will spend time on every single one of these objectives. Again, spiraling outward from the individual skill to implementing that skill in projects and build weeks and labs. And yeah, everything makes sense now. Yeah, we're going to add the description to our orientation. I'm glad that it makes sense now. I want to take a quick look at how we measure what you've learned. So I took each of those outline boxes and I put them on one slide. So you can see like at the objective level, at the module level, at the sprint, the unit, the track. You know, the challenge, the project, the sprint challenge, the build week, and labs. And each one of these represents that proving ground. Again, if you nailed it, you're ready to move on. You're ready to, you know, get a job or move on to the next concept, or going back to the objective, you're ready to apply the next thing. But if you weren't able to finish it, we want to get you all of the support you need in order to fix it. Remember, like the target for everyone is like the top of that mountain. And everyone's gonna like have their own pace and need to take rest at different times and show up to the trailhead at different times. Everyone has their own pace. And what we wanna do is make sure that we get everyone to the top. Which at Lambda School, you're all here for jobs. We're here to get you a job. Some jobs out there will hire you without nailing every objective. You know, the 272 in the web course. You can get a web job if you only got like 260 of those. But for your best chances for success, we've designed the curriculum to overshoot baseline expectations so that you're the obvious choice. But it's important that you work on every objective. I can tell you, if you get every single one of them, that is our way of saying we know that this student will get a job. Okay. Right now, we do that best where we track progress, how students are doing that. We do that best at the sprint level. You all know this, just did this morning. Every week you complete a sprint challenge to show that you've got the concepts from the week down. If you pass that sprint challenge, you complete it, you know, we're able to mark that you've proven that you can do every objective listed in that sprint. But if you aren't able to finish it for whatever reason, we need to identify where you need the help, and we want to give you all of the help and training on those specific skills so that, again, you're ready to get to the top of that mountain, ready to get that job. Instead of sending you all the way back to the beginning of class, this is the way some schools will do it, is, you know, if you fail something, they say this person's not ready, they need to go all the way back to the beginning. If we were to do that here at Lambda School, we wouldn't necessarily need to send you back to the beginning. We could send you back 5 weeks to the next group that's coming through. But that's still a waste of a month. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So what we want to do is we want to give you the help that you need immediately. You don't need to go back to sprint 1. You need to repeat exactly what you missed. So if you can do that over the weekend, then that's great. But if you need more time, we're going to help you reach on that content immediately. So I want to talk about what's gone into making async possible. We've spent the last 18 months building our entire learning model and curriculum to support mastery-based progression. Instructors have been building pre-class videos and guided projects and sprint challenges to make sure that that we can evaluate how you're doing. We've created a student success team with project managers that are working with you on a 1-to-8 ratio. We hire one project manager for every 8 students that are at Lambda School. We've adjusted our admissions flow. We've adjusted our schedule. We went from 26 weeks to 30 weeks. We went from starting every first Monday of the month to starting every 5 weeks. All of those things that we've done are building up to this moment, which is where we make async possible for the entire school. So what is async? When you need to repeat a sprint, when there's some concepts that you just need to retrain on so that you have everything that you need to get a job, what we're going to do is we're going to pair you up we're going to put you in a small group of students who also need additional support on that sprint. We're going to match you with our very best project manager who will lead your group in retraining those skills. You'll use the objective level pre-class videos that the instructors have put together to review the instruction. You'll have videos of every time that lesson was ever taught. But the more important part is you'll build projects together. You'll get hands-on, individualized attention from your project manager. The instructors are going to host regular opportunities for office hours and check-ins. And let's see. How's my sound? Okay, I'm going to keep going. The recording should be fine. It sounds like it's okay for most people. So I apologize if the sound is cutting out. We'll get the video uploaded. Just to recap on the async groups, you'll have all of the videos. You'll have hands-on, individualized attention from your project manager. The instructors will be checking in regularly and working with the project manager and with you as needed. Will still be part of the overall section. So if you're in Web 17, you're going to continue to be in Web 17. You're just going to have your small group that is focused on, the work that you need to be able to get a job at the end of the program. You're not completely leaving behind the friends and colleagues you've met along the way. Some students may be ahead of you. Some students may need more support than you, but everyone's on the same journey, climbing the same hill, going through the same effort to get the same skills, helping each other get to the top. I want to talk about who will use async. And Austin Cole just asked, haven't we been doing this the whole time? I'm going to address what's a little bit different in just a few minutes. I started my first, this is one of the things that's different, is who will use async. I started my first mastery-based progression program 4 years ago at a school in Salt Lake City. I actually did it with Andrew Madsen, who's over our iOS program here. And what I found really interesting when I did that is that almost every student took advantage of the mastery-based progression model at least once. But what was really cool is that students who, before I put this in place, there were students who would normally fall behind and struggle. They would struggle, but they would be just enough to kind of get to the end of class. But they would have holes and they would be missing concepts once they got to the end. But with mastery-based progression in place, with async in place, when those types of students would take just an extra week early on, they usually didn't need it again. They might need it one or two more times, but usually getting the foundations right in in sprints 1, 2, or 3, then you're able to move through the rest of the course at the same pace. So entire classes would usually finish within 2 to 3 weeks of each other, which is, it's a huge win of having students go back 5 weeks or to the very beginning of class. So the short answer is who will use async? Almost everybody will use it at least once. I love that we're able to offer that. I want to talk about some specifics about how this is going to work. Austin Cole asked, haven't we been doing this the whole time? The answer is, many of you have been taking part in pilots or trials of mastery-based progression groups. The difference is what we're announcing today is that this is going to be in place across the whole school beginning week 1. And some of the specifics are going to change, so I'm going to talk about those right now. At the end of this is the same as it has been. At the end of every sprint, you'll work on your sprint challenge. And if you nail it, you're ready to move on. That's great. We're really happy for you that everything worked. But if you're not, if you weren't able to finish it for whatever reason, then you're a candidate for Async. Friday afternoon, you'll meet for your sprint review with your project manager. You'll review the week, you'll look at your projects that you did that week and your sprint challenge, and you'll determine if you want to do a reattempt before the weekend. Or if you just want to plan on participating with an async group the following week. If you missed a small part, like I said, you can reattempt the sprint challenge. We'll share the details about how you will do that. That your PMs already have the information that they need, but for this week, we'll be sharing the information on all of this, what it takes to do a reattempt. And so if you only missed a small part of your project, you can reattempt the sprint challenge. Your project will get re-reviewed. And if you got it, you'll move on with the group. And if not, again, totally fine. Everyone's going to use this. We're going to, prepare you to we're going to get set up into an async group the following week. On Monday, the async groups will meet together and take stock of what the most important missed concepts were. So if you if you finish a week and there was really just like 1 or 2 days that you really need extra practice on, then you'll spend your week on those concepts. We're not necessarily just going to say, okay, well, Monday is the same as last Monday and Tuesday is the same as last Tuesday. It's not just going to be the exact same experience over again. It's going to be really tailored to exactly what you need. So on Monday, the group will take stock of what those concepts were, make a plan. The project manager will review the curriculum and work with the instructor to build a targeted plan so everyone in your group is up to speed. And then after that, you'll continue with your async group. So as you move into the next sprint, you'll continue with that same group of people who reinforce those concepts together, and you'll build those relationships. It's going to be as I say in orientation, or as I know the student success team says, you're going to build lifelong relationships at Lambda School, and especially in these async groups, we see awesome relationships come together just because it's such a supportive, awesome environment. As most students will take, because most students will take advantage of async at least once, the groups will change over time. You will not always be with the same students. We know that you love that. We love it too. That's part of what makes Lambda School awesome, is that you have these almost like I don't want to say family, but like this tight group, like the support group or friend group that's really all invested in each other. That will change. You will get the chance to get to know more students in your section, and there are benefits to that as well. At every step of the way, this is the important thing, every step of the way you'll have project managers working directly with your small groups and instructors overseeing your learning, jumping in whenever you need it. Okay. This view right here is a view along the hike up Timpanogos. If you look closely, you can see part of the trail right here. Okay, this is a common rest spot for folks that are climbing the mountain, and I want to use this picture to make one thing very clear. I've said this before, but I just want to make it abundantly clear. Just like everyone is going to take a break while climbing Timpanogos, most everyone's going to need to take advantage of async while at Lambda School. You didn't fail. You did nothing wrong. It's not a punishment. It's just like when you're climbing a mountain, you can enjoy the view where you're at. You get the chance to really nail every skill along your way through your track. Everything about async is about making sure that you have the skills that you need to blow away the job market and land your first gig as soon after graduation as possible. I do know, yeah. So I haven't been following along with general. I will get to questions in general in just a minute. But Aaron brought up a good point, which is you don't just get one repeat week. You get to retry potentially any week while you go through the program. So we're there with you every step of the way. We will share some more specifics on that. I want to point out we've been piloting a badging program called Acclaim as recognition of students who went above and beyond the basic graduation requirement to pass every sprint challenge. This badge is like our strongest recommendation. It's a way of saying, like, we would 100% hire this student. They know everything that they need to know. We've gone and we've talked to hiring managers. We've built this list of every skill that the student needs to be successful, and this student has nailed it. They've shown us time and again that they are ready. I said at the beginning that async is our way to guarantee that every one of you who graduate from Lambda School has demonstrated every skill you need to contribute to a team. So with the launch of async, every student who graduates in our async model will also get a badge. So you may be asking, like, who does this apply to? Like, who gets to take advantage of async? And the answer for who gets to take advantage of this is everyone. We are going to put, we're implementing this across the school. As far as who it's required for badging, like badging and graduation requirements being aligned, this includes everyone who started at Lambda School in 2019. So this is Web 17, Web EU1 and beyond, Android 2 and beyond, iOS 5 and beyond, UX 2 and beyond, Data Science 2 and beyond. But for everyone who started at Lambda School before this week, you can also receive your badge, again, by passing 100% of your sprints, including your labs project review and capstone defense. You can see if you're on track by using your dashboard, but also you're about to have your one-on-ones with your PMs this afternoon. So you can reach out to your PMs to check if you're on track, or bring that up this afternoon if you're in the full-time class, or in your next sprint review if you're in the part-time class. I want to, we do have some time. There are a lot of people here, but I think we can make this work. I'm going to pull up, we are going to share like frequently asked questions. We've got this all written up, and we'll share all of that. But since we're all here together, we have a few more minutes before I hand some time over to Jeff from the Outcomes team. So I'm going to go into general, answer some questions, go ahead and drop them in general. And I see there are a few coming in here in the Zoom chat. I am going to check general more than the Zoom chat, but I'll make a quick scan here real quick. Yeah, Daniel says when he gets a job, he's coming to Mount Timpanogos on his first vacation. Come on over. There's about a dozen of us here that would love to go hike with you. What if we felt like the labs experience was useful enough for our job prospects to do it twice? Could we do labs twice? The answer to this is basically yes, you can. We're going to make you like be applying for jobs and stuff like that when you're going through. But once you graduate Lambda School, once you reach the end, you can repeat any portion of class, including labs. And we may have some more announcements about that, about labs specifically later on this month. But we would love to have you, while you are job searching, come back and repeat labs all over again. That would be a great experience for you and for the other students who get to work with you. It's a great way to build your portfolio as you are job searching. So I think that's great. Are these badges going to be on clothing or attached to the Slack team or what? Yeah, badges is kind of confusing. In learning or gamification or games, there's badges that represent outcomes. We use a platform called Acclaim, and this is a badge that it's like a digital badge. Wait for it, I'll get to more. This is a digital badge that you that is really easy to like put on LinkedIn and share on your social media that anyone that sees it can click on, and it takes them to like an outcomes page that shows everything that you did while you were at Lambda School. So it shows that you did 30 weeks of work or more, 30 sprints worth of work, no matter how long it took you. It shows that you built a labs project. It links to your labs project that you built or your portfolio, whichever you prefer. But we are talking with Bree to get some actual badges made up in our swag shop, so we can send those out as well. Is it possible for someone to graduate ahead of time just by passing all of the sprint challenges? The answer is right now we're not set up for that, but that is the logical, I wouldn't say next step, but something that we're working towards, is that folks will be able to say, hey, like I already know this content, can I complete the sprint challenge for that week and move forward? And the answer is yes. That will be something that we're working on. Yeah, I've talked to some students who only finished half of Lambda School and got a job. Did they all switch to part-time? If you want to graduate, if you come, you get a job during class, and we helped you get it, that's great. That's the dream, right? Like you got a job. If you want to graduate from Lambda School, if you want a badge, you do need to finish the class. So that does mean like finishing in part-time is what a lot of people have taken advantage of. We're not going to require you to do that. If you got a job, great. We're excited for you. But if you want to graduate, if you want that badge, then yes, that's in part-time. Okay. I said I was going straight to general. I haven't been there, so give me just a second. Oh, there are so many messages here. I'm so sorry to do this. If you have a question, we'll post it again. Go ahead and copy and paste it, but there's so many messages here. I'm just going to declare bankruptcy. I'm going to appear at the end of the list. So if you stay in async until you graduate, you no longer do live classes with the instructor. This is a great question, Max. The answer is you will still have live interaction with the instructor, but it won't necessarily be at the 9 to 11 time slot in the morning. So instructors will still be available for office hours. They'll be working with your PMs and visiting your group as needed. But the morning time slot for the guided project will be different. You'll be doing that with your groups. Question thread. Oh, thank you, Patrick. What a machine. I'm gonna we'll jump into that questions thread. Beach says there's a lot of value in the rest of the program. You'll learn things that go far in future-proofing your career by staying at Lambda School. That is 100% true. Everything that we teach is we have deemed essential. And so, yes, you may get your first job without it, but we are going to continue teaching you stuff that will make it so that you can continue to level up and go from junior to mid-level to senior faster than anyone else. How do Acclaim badges for graduated students work? Reach out to your project manager, to someone on the student success team. Patrick, I'm sorry about your inbox. DM Patrick if you are a graduate and wondering about Acclaim badges. Okay, now I'm in the question thread. Can we get access to the presentation slides afterward? I'm gonna upload this video so you can watch it. I'm not sure about the slides. I'll think about it. How do you make up failed project weeks? So if you aren't able to finish like a build week project, it's the same thing. We'll circle back we'll do the build week project again. Will people still be missing a week of instruction, and when can that week be made up? How does that translate into the timeline to graduation? That's a great question. The answer is you won't be missing any instruction. We've said every one of these things is required. We believe that these are the skills that you need to get a job, and so we're not going to have you skip weeks later to make up for that. There are some adjustments that we'll make along the way. I'm going to let the documentation that we're going to share with you answer those specific questions. Just be really specific about the wording and the phrasing and how we're going to approach that. What about a hackathon badge? That's a great idea. All of my screens are full screened right now, so I can't really write that down, but Patrick or someone else, will you write down something about a hackathon badge? And we can talk about it. If we're just having trouble grasping the terminology, should we go into async? If you're able to build the project, if you're able to complete the sprint challenge, then I would say no. Some terminology things are going to just take time for you to get familiar with and learn over time. So we will use the sprint challenge as the determining factor of whether you should move forward or not. We can always help you with terminology. If you lag further and further behind your cohort, then what? If you can continue to repeat sprints. So one of the things this is a common question. Let's say you repeated a few different sprints. You will, if you repeat sprints until the class that started 5 weeks behind you catches up to you, then you'll jump in with that group. We're not going to just immediately jump you back to a group that started 5 weeks behind you, but if you over time have needed additional time to retrain on stuff, and that group catches up to you, then you'll jump in that group. Could async help me learn some Python basics that sort of got glossed over in the class proper? Trista, reach out to your project manager. We'll talk about that. That's part of what async is meant to do, but we'll have to talk about if it's not something that you just recently covered. Is there an async next? Kind of confused on how that would work. More soon on that. Are the details written out somewhere online? Yes. Terry has, the student success team has put together written documentation. We'll be sharing this. That documentation will evolve over time as we learn more lessons, but we're really comfortable about where this is and excited to roll it out to the whole school. Caitlin asked a question about whiteboarding. More to announce there. I'm not going to spend too much time on that right now, just because I've got about 1 or 2 more minutes for questions with the whole group, and then I'll make sure that we get all of the questions answered after the call if we don't get them. What if we are now in back end, but we don't feel like we have the front end part mastered? Can we go that far back? Talk to your project manager or section lead about this, and we'll make sure we get you taken care of. The answer is yes, we can accommodate that, but let's talk about if it's the right thing. If we're nearly done, but only have squeaked through in passing sprints, are we able to join other cohorts async groups? Yes. Don't we have to finish, or else we have to pay for the prorated amount anyway, according to the ISA, even if we get a job? Barbara, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Shoot me a DM there. No one has to finish class if they don't want to, especially if they've gotten a job, they got what they wanted. But if you want to be a graduate, then yes. If we're in async and need to repeat same week more, can we do that so that we don't have to go back to another cohort? Yes, that's what this is. Repeat the same week once more. Derek, it depends on the situation. If you miss the same content 2 weeks in a row, that tells us that likely that there's content prior to that week that would be beneficial to you being able to pass that week. So we'll do that on a case-by-case basis, but the default is going to be if you fail a sprint, if you're not able to complete the sprint challenge, and then you repeat it again and you're not able to do it again, that the best move, the default move, will be to roll you back to another class. I don't see that, in my experience, that does not happen very often. We'll address it on a case-by-case basis. Is there a list of objectives for each track? Yes, it's on Training Kit. Patrick, will you drop a link to the advisory council review for like the slug that you need to access the advisory council review? For async, will we be behind for the next curriculum, since it may be teaching another subject and still working on last week's curriculum? So you'll continue with your async group until either there is a full group that is covering the content that you're working on, or until you graduate. So if you get put into async even once, you will be out of sync with your original class for the rest of the program. So I addressed this a little bit earlier, but I want to make it abundantly clear. There's no expectation that someone that has fallen behind or needed extra time to retrain on content has to catch up, not only retrain on that work so that they feel comfortable with it, but all of a sudden double speed to be able to catch up to the rest of the class. That's not the point of this. The point is to give you the support that you need, where you need it, when you need it. And so, like I mentioned earlier, almost everyone is going to need to use this. And so the whole structure of the way groups work is going to evolve with this model. It's not necessary. You won't be out of sync with the main class. What this model is that everything is moving to be more asynchronous, so that everyone can get the support they need on what they need when they need it. Okay. Lot of questions there. There's a lot of stuff here, and I know you're going to continue to have questions. We'll watch for it. I don't want to go too far over our time. We have a couple of quick updates from the instruction and the outcomes teams have been working really closely on what async will mean for graduate and looking for jobs. And as many of you know, we've been piloting a few changes with Lambda Labs that will allow students to begin searching for jobs during the last 10 sprints of class. And Jeff, our head of partnerships, is here to talk about a few other changes that they've been working on the outcomes team to help you be successful in your job search and get a job as soon as possible, even potentially before graduation, but as soon as possible after graduation. So Jeff, I'm going to find you here. Jeff Henriot, unmute.
All right, I'm unmuted.
There you go. You've got the mic.
All right, thanks everyone. Super excited to be here. Could not be a better way to end my Friday, or I guess cap off the week. If it sounds like I'm shouting at you, it's just because there's a lot of adrenaline when you present to 500 people on Zoom, and because I'm on Twitch for the first time, which is awesome. So let me pull up my deck, and we'll try and make this quick. Bonus points if we finish in the original time slot. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Sorry about that. So quick outcomes update. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Henriot. I lead our partnerships effort. So what that looks like, I am working to cultivate relationships with companies to recruit you and hire you. And I've been here for about 4 to 5 months. So far, it's going really well. So I'm going to walk through an update of what happened in Q4, just results. I'm going to talk about company presentations, which we started in November and have gained a lot of momentum. I'm going to talk about a new career curriculum that we're rolling out. And then I'm going to talk about career coach endorsements, which we have talked a lot about, but probably not given you the details you need to really understand what they are and how to obtain one. So first thing I wanted to do was remind you about our philosophy when it comes to Lambda School outcomes. So we view it as our job is to train you with the relevant skills that you need to find a job and then help generate interest from employers. And then your job is to be ready for the opportunity and to seize it. So here's the analogy I like to think about. Apologies if you're not a baseball fan. I'm actually not either. But this is a home run derby. So here at the plate, we have Bryce Harper, who's one of the best batters in all of Major League Baseball. The way this works, he has 3 minutes to hit as many home runs as he can. And you'll see the pitcher, they're much closer than a pitcher usually is. They're throwing like soft, perfect pitches. These two have practiced together for a long time, so he knows what Bryce's sweet spot is. The pitcher in this case is actually his dad, so he's been throwing him home run pitches his whole life. And Bryce has 3 minutes to hit as many home runs as he possibly can. So in this analogy, I like to view the Lambda School outcomes team as the pitcher, and you are the students. And obviously this is broken if I have to explain it too much, but the reason I like it, we are not here to like hand you a job on a silver platter, right? We're here to take the edge off and to hopefully make that as easy as possible and to throw you some really good opportunities, but you're going to have to be ready to really nail it and seize the day. So it's incredibly hard to hit a home run in a major league ballpark, no matter how fast the ball is thrown, no matter where it lands. It's incredibly hard to do, so you have to be ready. But our job is to hopefully serve up softballs, right? Make it much easier than it would be if you were entirely on your own. So I don't want to like discriminate against different sports. So if you're a soccer fan, here's another analogy. We're the corner kicker, and you are the team trying to head it in or to catch the corner. Again, really hard to do the other part. Or this one's actually, I can't believe how high she is. We are number 4 down there who has set the perfect ball for you, and you are up here in the air ready to just crush the spike. And then finally, kickers don't get enough love in football. So we are the long snapper, the offensive line, and the holder. All of that has to be right. And then you come up and you still have to nail a field goal, which is incredibly hard and takes a lot of time. So the point is, it's going to take a lot of effort on both sides. So let's talk about what we are doing right now, the Lambda side, to set you guys up with opportunities. So first, in Q4, we recommended 312 candidates from Lambda School for Lambda source job opportunities. And I want to make sure to call out that those candidates are not unique. So so that is not 312 unique students. One student might have been recommended 3 different times. 97 of the students, they're the candidates that we recommended advanced to interviews with those companies, so about a third of them. And 34% of those who interviewed received an offer. We think that can get a lot better, and we're going to do things to make it better, but by itself, it's encouraging, and it says a lot about you. It says a lot about the caliber of the instruction you've already received and the concepts you've mastered. We hosted 14 recruiting presentations in the 4th quarter, and so far we have 13 booked in Q1, and we are reaching out to hundreds of companies really all day, every day, via email, picking up the phone, doing cold calls, other things to get their attention. And then we are launching a new career curriculum the week of January 21st. So I'll talk about both. So recruiting presentations, again, since we launched these, it's been 2 months. About 30 companies have signed up to recruit you. So PillPack, JP Morgan Chase, Cisco, Wayfair, and then coming up this month, actually next week, we have Uber, IBM, the following week, the New York Times, and then BuzzFeed has committed in early March. That's just a snapshot. To me, this says so much about the Lambda brand and really what our students have been able to do when they've hit market, that we are attracting these types of companies for a school that's only 18 months old and for a recruiting program that's only 2 months old. One thing I want to call out here is remember that these are not information sessions. They are not doing brown bags. These companies are here because they want to hire Lambda grads for jobs. They're here to recruit you. That is their intent. So remember that, and I'm going to talk about these a little bit more. The other thing we're launching is a new career curriculum. So this will be, I think, the first full-scale career curriculum that Lambda School has put together. It's going to launch the week of January 21st. It will run from weeks 3 to 20. There will be daily objectives, modules. We're following the exact same curriculum format that we do in the rest of the school. So there will be assignments and ways that you can demonstrate your mastery. You will master things or learn things like how to know which companies to target. How do you reach out on your own to a company that you're interested in? How can you tell your story, especially if it's a non-traditional story, in a compelling way? How do you interview well? How do you build a great portfolio and share it? And then how can you leverage social media to help you find a job? So that's coming. We'll send you more details about that. It'll be built into the schedule. It's just really important to treat that as seriously as you do any other coursework that you have in Lambda School. So that's our part. Line up the companies, equip you with the skills you need. Your part is to seize the day. So you need to be ready to take advantage of the opportunities. And related to this, I wanted to talk about company presentations. So to be totally transparent, we've been a little bit disappointed in the response to presentations, specifically on the number of candidates that apply. So to be clear, when we ask someone to do a company presentation, we also ask for a commitment that they agree to interview our candidates. So if they're presenting to you, they've already agreed to vet our candidates. And unfortunately, sometimes we have really low numbers of candidates applying, and we'd like to see more. We don't want you to apply for jobs that you aren't interested in. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I just want to make sure that everyone knows what the opportunity is and that everyone is pursuing it. The other thing to call out about presentations, we have big companies, we have small companies, we have medium-sized companies. We will continue to do that, and we're getting better at tailoring them to what you're interested in. We're also going to start tailoring them to different geographies. We're not there yet, but you could see a day in 6 months, maybe a year, where we will have geographic-focused presentations. So everyone who's interested in LA could go to LA presentations, for example. We'll get there. You don't need to attend presentations that you're not interested in. I think it's a really great idea to be there and hear from a hiring manager or an HR rep what they're looking for, but don't feel like you have to be there. We're going to do a much better job at communicating what the company presentation schedule is, as well as all of the current open opportunities of companies that are sourcing people from Lambda School. The other thing is just take this career curriculum really seriously. We're putting a lot of time into it. It's going to be really well done. We're talking to employers all the time. We know what they want, and we're tailoring the curriculum so you will be best suited to land jobs with our hiring network. And then the last thing is just to emphasize, you should absolutely be leading your own job search, and you should absolutely be applying to jobs that are not sourced through Lambda School. Less than 50% of the offers that came through in Q4 were sourced by Lambda School. And at the rate we're growing, I would love that number to be 100%, but I think realistically, like 50% is a really good target. And that means that our students are you're going to have to continually work to source things on your own. And you can count on us giving you some opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise, but you shouldn't rely entirely on Lambda to find the job. Last thing I'll say is just a reminder of the power of the Lambda School brand. So I'm on the front lines talking to employers all the day, so I get to hear their perception of the Lambda brand, and it's incredible, it's strong. My favorite thing is that the people that come back to us are those that have already hired a student. They're the ones that are extra eager to talk. But remember that the Lambda brand is bigger than any one student, right? It reflects on the entire school. And as the Lambda brand grows, it will become easier and easier for students and for alumni to leverage that brand for new opportunities. And because we need to protect the brand, and the brand is so important, that's why we're using something called career coach endorsements. So moving forward, we've talked about it for a while, but moving forward, you will need a Lambda School career coach endorsement to participate in Lambda recruiting activities. So that means if you want to apply to a job that Lambda has sourced, for example, JP Morgan Chase or Wayfair, you will need a Lambda coach endorsement to do that. To get the career coach endorsement, they'll review your resume, your LinkedIn, your GitHub, and your portfolio. And that's going to happen by week 20. So you will be granted a career coach endorsement during your 20th week at Lambda School. And then that gives you 10 weeks to get active on the career search when you've had the whole curriculum under your belt, you have your career coach endorsement, and you're ready to get on the job hunt. The one other change we're going to, well, that's the big change. You won't be able to apply to any Lambda source opportunities until you have that endorsement at week 20. So we'll share more details in the coming weeks. One thing I wanted to call out, and I will drop this in the general channel, we have our company presentation list. It is pinned to the company presentation channel. You can see who has presented, who's lined up to present, and you can also see the different who's accepting applications right now. Some of them already accepted and have closed. So looks like my computer is frozen up. Oh, here we go. So that's all I have. I'm going to stop the share and I can answer some questions if there's time.
Well, let me wrap up. There are a few questions that I've tagged you in general,
Cool.
but let's see. Can folks still hear me? I just got a notification that my mic is out. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I just want to close with a quick story. I'm so much. It's been so fun for me to watch the outcomes team come up with their plan and they really symbolize everything that I love about Lambda School. Just a true obsession with your success, and the work that they're doing is incredible. So thank you for sharing, Jeff. I want to close with a quick story, which is about 6 weeks ago. We met as a Lambda School staff to discuss what makes Lambda School what it is. We talked about our vision, our mission, our strategies, and our values. And we'll do another presentation to share each of those. But I just wanted to mention real quick our vision and our most important value. Our vision is to enable everyone to fulfill their potential regardless of circumstance. That's what Lambda School is all about, accessibility and impact. We decided as a group that the most important value that we should have is that we are student obsessed, that we are in a relentless pursuit of student outcomes. Running a program like Async is expensive and hard, and no other school in the world runs a program quite like what we're doing. Even the school that I started this at shut it down because it was too expensive and too hard to do. I strongly believe that this is part of what will set Lambda School apart, and that doing any kind of paid education or training without giving students the opportunity to train and retrain in a system similar to Async is wrong. I want to recognize and thank Austin for encouraging us to invest in making this possible. I want to recognize Terry Kim, for organizing and documenting the processes that we're going to use. The whole student success team for organizing the project managers and all the systems that we use to stay caught up on how all of you are doing. All of the Lambda School instruction staff for putting in the work on curriculum and instructional design to make this possible. And the rest of the team at Lambda School for buying into this and making the appropriate adjustments to make it work. This is hard to do. But it is what is right. It is what is fair. It is what is going to get you to the top. A couple questions about the ISA changing. No, we're doing this in the framework that we currently have. Every single one of us here at Lambda School is rooting for you. From the admissions process to instruction to the outcomes team. So just a recognition for all of them, for all of their hard work, and to all of you for being here, making the changes that you are and the work that you put in every day. So thank you so much. Everyone have a great weekend. If you have any questions, drop them in Slack. We will get to them. We will be sharing the written documentation for this. And last of all, we'll see you back next week.